We had our big day on Saturday. That's when all of the election judges came through, picked up all their supplies, ballots, everything they needed. So we got to see them all one last time. They're ready, they're excited, they're anxious. So we were hoping that they all had the opportunity to set up today so that when they get there tomorrow morning, there'll be a little bit less stress, because we've told them that we're pretty sure every site will have voters waiting. We told them that on Saturday, and when we came in this morning here, we had a line of voters. And we were like, no, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. So obviously they were disappointed, but they said they'd come back tomorrow. And here we go. 302 sites will be open. Again, we're vote centers. We're really blessed that we have vote centers. That means that any voter can go to any site tomorrow. And please help us. The polls are open from 7 to 7. There are some reports out there that they're open till 8. And that's wrong. Those were the early voting hours. So 7 o'clock tomorrow morning to 7 p.m. If you're in line, you all are experts. You've been here, you know those rules. The next thing is, please, whenever you're talking to any of the school districts, they have been so cooperative. So many of those school districts have made tomorrow an in-service day. So there's not going to be students there, which is going to help alleviate parking issues, traffic issues, because I know you all heard a lot of that during early voting. So many of the sites, parking was an issue because no one had seen this kind of turnout in a number of years. We started out like gangbusters. Remember how we were excited? We were off the charts. When we finished, we were a little bit down. We were on a downhill slide as we went. So we finished early voting, the 32,000 by mail that we have here, and we're at a 46.9% turnout right now, as we stand here right now. Everyone's still processing the by mail. We got a delivery this morning. The ballot board's here. Central counting station people are here. They worked yesterday, they worked Saturday. We were doing distribution. So it's really a happening place. So again, one of the biggest things we say, and you hear me say it all the time, please remind the voters to be prepared. Please. They go to our website and they download their own personal ballot. Because if you look at the bid sheet we have that has all of the candidates on it, that's overwhelming. We want them to get that personal ballot so that they know who their state rep is, their US rep, and be prepared to take that paper in with them. That's permissible, because then they're going to go through the ballot much more quickly than if they've never seen it before. And we've had people that literally will be at that booth for 5, 6, 7 minutes because they're reading it all. So you all can help us just dramatically for tomorrow, is if you say, do your homework, be prepared. We also say, patience, bring your patience when you come to the polls. That's so important. Our election officials, they need big smiles and thank you. They have put in unbelievable training hours. The ones that worked early voting put in unbelievable hours. And I'm going to put in a plug for my staff. My staff here is amazing. This group has put in 70, 80, 90-hour weeks for the last month. And I don't know how we can thank them. But we want you to thank the election officials, because they're getting up at dark 30 and driving somewhere when it's dark, setting up their polls, finishing the last minute postings. And we have to have postings everywhere. So they'll put those out in the morning, and then they will be ready at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And we're really pleased about that. The other thing, it's not one of my P's, but it's like, please remind everyone, no cell phones. please, no cell phones. That was an issue in early voting, because since there's no cell phones or electronics allowed in the poll site, that also means that when we ask for ID, which you have to show a photo ID, when we ask for that, please don't tell the judges, here's my here, I carry it on my phone. And we've seen a lot of that a lot of the people would scan it, I don't know what the term is, but they carry their driver's license on their cell phones. And we have to tell them, we cannot accept that. We have to see the hard copy. So we send them back out to their cars. And if we have to do that, we're allowing them to go back in. They don't have to get to the back of the line again. So again, we've spent a lot of time getting everybody ready. Great training, great training. And now we're to the point where one of our other P's is now we say our prayers. That's all we can hope for. Thank you. You guys can help us tremendously. Okay?
What's the latest on turnout for tomorrow?
That crystal ball is iffy. I have numbers, obviously. In 2020, when we had the highest turnout, that was COVID, we all lived through COVID. The difference in the turnout was the mail ballots, okay? Remember, we had 121,000 applications, and we ended up counting 92,000. And our usual mail sits around 40,000 for any other election. And so today we have 32,000 plus that are in-house and are being counted. The mail, we still can accept mail. They have to have their ballot postmarked by close of election tomorrow night by 7 o'clock. And then if it's delivered the next day, the election code allows us to take any late mail, excuse me, late mail that gets delivered to us on Wednesday, as long as it has been postmarked prior to 7 o'clock on Tuesday. So our numbers are, but when we did the 32,000 mail in 2020, our election day was only 84,000. That's like so low. And when 2022 came, the governor's race, our election day was 151,000. So to answer you, Brian, I think we're aiming for above. I think we should hit 150, 160,000 on election day. That's what we're hoping for.
With 150, 160,000 people, how many machines do you have?
2,500. 2,500 express votes. We have 302 poll sites, and everybody has all their equipment. So again, when I say prayers, we know, you know, every one of you know that sometimes technology has glitches. We know that. We're prepared for that. We have all our extras. We have fantastic groups, and we have techs out in the field that will be available. Our model has always been on election day, we have techs, and we assign them anywhere from 5 to 7 poll sites, and they stay in that area all day long.
So the 2,500, is that those are the ones that are deployed at the 300 sites, or is
Yes.
302 sites? That's not including the extras that you have.
Right, we always hold some back, because as I just said,
Okay.
computer technology is known to fail sometimes.
So 2,500 already set up at the locations, and then some extras
Right.
in case something breaks or you need more at a certain
Ab-
location.
Absolutely.
About how many per site? I assume it's a range.
It is a range. It's absolutely a range. I think the fewest we have would be 6 at our smallest sites. And just like in early voting for the larger sites that we can project all the time, they're gonna have 15, 16 units.
Anything on average
That
waiting?
same model.
Anything on average waiting times, and do you have enough shade out there? It's gonna be sunny afternoon.
We can't control that part as much as we would like to. Again, like I said, tomorrow with the schools being closed, we may be able to have more people line up in the school. And I mean, that's what we're looking to, and we recommended that to our judges. That if that can happen, move the people inside. So
Jackie, how about security? Have you contacted SAPD or the sheriff's office to make sure that certain locations have more law enforcement than others?
Well, again, we don't post law enforcement at the site because that is voter intimidation. But we are using, again, you heard me say the same model. We've always had meetings with every security agency, every police department, whether it's an ISD, whether it's a small city, SAISD, and they're all aware. We give them names, locations, addresses, and we're following our exact same model.
The DOJ says they're gonna deploy some of their people to certain counties in Texas. Bear
Right.
County was one of them. Are you aware of them? Are they here, and what is their duty?
They will be here tomorrow, and they will stay outside the 100-foot mark. Again, they will be there observing. They'll go in just to tell the election officials inside that they're here, and then again, their role, as you've heard from Governor Abbott, the Secretary of State, is that they will remain outside the 100-foot mark.
So they're at every,
No, there's only, I think, 2 or 3 of them that are here. So they will be moving from site to site, much like the inspectors do. Secretary of State will have inspectors here. And they were here all through early voting. And they move from site to site, just sort of to look things over. And, you know, we'll get that report in a couple months.
Jackie, can you talk about the tabulation room and observers in there? I think in past years, they felt like they were supervisors, they didn't understand the law, they just observe, don't manage, is that right?
Exactly, exactly. And we'll do the same thing. Excuse me. In fact, if you look down the hall, those are the people that are going to be in Central County. They're the party people that were assigned. They will be with us. We've been, as I said, we've been working for the last couple days tabulating the by mail. I mean, that word is processing right now. No information has been downloaded. No information has been handed out. But larger counties are permitted to do that ahead of time because it's an economy of scale. You know, they know that our county is going to have 30, 40, 50,000 mail ballots. In some of the smaller counties, 10, 12. So it's an economy of scale. So once you're in a county that's big enough, then we get to start at the close of early voting.
So after the close of polls, these 2,500
Excuse me.
boxes come down here to be plugged in and tabulated? Is that what's going on?
No.
Okay,
That's,
tell us.
well, it's not 24. We have 302 poll sites.
Okay,
Okay, and what we do is, obviously at the end, at 7 o'clock, or when the line ends, our election officials have a process that they must close, and what they're doing is they're harvesting the votes that have been put in that equipment. They run the tapes, they see the results tapes. In fact, we have a lot of candidates or campaigns that go to separate sites just to see how they're doing. You know, they have their favorite boxes. But of our 302, we've taken it and divided it in 5 quadrants. I guess it can't be quadrants if they're 5. But we've assigned polls to a particular county building. We are in the county. And they turn all of their information into the inspectors that are there, the people that work for us. And then they download the results here. And so when we're in the tabulation room, we see them come in, one by one by one. But again, you all have been with us for so many years. At a little after 7, we will release early vote and by mail. That will come up hopefully by 7:15. And then we make you all crazy because there's no update until after close to 8:15 is our first. And then we sort of release the results at, you know, we try to do it at 10% increases so that we don't make you all crazy, but we're still giving information out. And the information that we're putting out is the gross numbers. We do not publish that night on which poll sites they're coming from. So they're coming in from 5 different stations. This is one. And then we have, like I said, in county buildings. So we are not sending any information, any votes over the air. We're not doing anything like that. It's coming with a hard line right here So our security, the stuff my staff has worked on is amazing. So please, just, tamp it down as you do your writing or your viewers, okay? That's what we're asking, and like I said, take care of our election officials out there.
So 300 locations down to 5, and the 5 down to here?
Yes.
And that's all witnessed and secured all on the road?
Absolutely. And at that point, where did you go? To answer her question, at that point, there is security. And there'll be security at all of those 5 sites. And the judges come back, and yes, they're tired, and they have to bring certain forms back to us. They have to bring their purple bags, which has all of the answers, all of your votes. It has the tapes on them, and they bring those back to us. We bring the signature sheets in, and our team there balances before anything comes across. If they say they had 100 signatures, well, then we can see that there's 100 votes. If they don't match, the judge has to stay there, and we go over it. Did someone walk away with the ballot thinking it was their receipt? No, they're not supposed to. But does it happen? Yeah. And again, we expect a lot more. I don't want to call them first-time voters, but I think they're first-time voters voting on our system, because the last time they voted, we had Ivotronics, where it was totally, oh God, I love you.
Cheers.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
What's the time frame you're expecting, Jackie, for getting it in? You mentioned, 7:15, the early votes out. You're expecting probably that first tranche of votes 8:15. I mean, so what should voters kind of expect for at least the low, these county
That's the
results?
ones that it's tough for. That, Garrett, that's absolutely the ones, the down-ballot ones that have really tight races. Again, here in my staff, myself, it's a success if when we print the final report, it still has the date of the election on it. And if we roll over to midnight, we're not happy campers. But I mean, honestly, on this, I probably expect that we will be past midnight. I do, because it takes longer to harvest the votes. Obviously, when you're taking votes off and there's 100 in there, it's like, there it goes. But when you're putting in thousands from a site, 1,500 or so, they load a little bit slower. And so from that standpoint, we're watching that whole time frame be pushed back.
Well, this is going to be the last time that you have to worry about whether or not it's before midnight or not. Can you tell us about how you feel about this being your last election?
It's sort of bittersweet. I mean, this is a passion. I think anyone that you talk to on my staff, it's a complete passion. And we're going to see it through to the end.
Do you have any behind-the-scenes heartwarming stories that can renew our faith in mankind?
Give us some anecdotes.
Did someone bring cookies to an election worker?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they do that, Brian. Yeah, that's why we try. And I know y'all don't understand that, but we work so hard in getting the election officials at the same place, at the exact same place, because then they feel this. The voters go to that site. And again, I can speak to, we have, if you go by, and every one of you, when you go take film on election day, you go to Lions Field. Lions Field always has that line that's wrapped all the way around. And every one of our poll sites has an extra person, and we call them greeters. So when this line goes all the way out, they'll be working that line, and they'll be telling people, hey, if you go across up to SAC, there's not a line. Why don't you just drive a few more minutes and go to a smaller site? They don't leave. They don't leave. Because just as I said, we want the judges to learn the people have learned their judges. And they know where they're gonna get efficiency, they know where they're well treated, and that's what we want. That's the core of what we do, is we try and keep that match.
Jackie, people here, Antonio, people with discapacities, are they directed towards the same locations that everybody else is going, and are they just probably given any sort of, leeway to be first in line or anything like that?
Absolutely, that's a great question, thank
How's it
you.
work? How's it work?
Thank you. We have two, in fact, we have two remedies, is what we call them. That there is a priority list and there's a posting at every site, that if someone is on a walker or a cane, or they just can't stand in a line, they can go immediately inside and go to the front of the line. And San Antonio voters are fantastic. They are respectful, so they don't mind someone going up front to take care of our senior citizens, or not, you know. The second way we have is we have some of the more infirm voters that are unable to get out of their cars and even get in that line. So we provide curbside voting. So every site has a parking space that has our sign in front of it. And it's not one of the ADA sites, so it's our sign, curbside voting. When they pull in, they call the phone number that's on our sign. It comes down here, and then we notify that staff to say, hey, you have a red Camry outside. Because when they call here, we say, put your flashers on. And most of them do that, but we always give them the color and the make, and then they go right out to the car. So we're really proud of those two functions for taking care of people.
So, and that is given to them in any, it's gonna be given to them in any of the 302 locations?
Yes, every one of them is set up for that. Yes, sir. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you said this is one of the 5 sites,
Yes, we call them RSS sites, regional sending sites.
and are they not just bringing the thumb drives, are they also bringing the ballot cards here when that happens? At the
No,
end of the-
no, well,
What happens to the ballot cards?
the cards that are in the DS200s, yes, they're staying in there locked behind 3 different locks. And they will be picked up and brought here to us on Wednesday. Okay, so again, security, security, security.
And the purple bag is what has the thumb drive?
I'm sorry, yes, has the thumb drives. It's a purple bag, this is Bexar County Elections. And it has the seals, it has the paperwork, it has the tape that they run us with the results. And then they bring their 3 jumpies back, thumb drives. Yeah, great question.
Just to make one thing clear, when people vote, when you print out that long receipt, that in a way, am I on track here?
Yeah, but we don't call it a receipt, Brian, because then they
But
want to
looks
take
like
it
that, it
home.
looks like a big wide HEB receipt.
It's exactly, it's a thermal ballot.
So there is a paper record of how a person votes.
That is their vote, because the machines, the express votes that they're making their selections on, I simply think of those as big pencils. Those machines do not keep any record. They're there, you mark your ballot, the ballot comes back out to you. You have an opportunity to check to make sure that those are the people that you voted for. Then they take it and they put it in the DS200, which is that large container. When it goes in there, an image is taken of that ballot, and it drops down to the bottom. And what Jay was asking for is where are the ballots at the end? And like I said, they're behind 3 different locks, and we will bring those back the next day.
Is it at any point, and when is this, where someone with your office compares the ballot card, I'm using your terminology for the
Thank you,
video,
thank you.
to what was, what went into the machine?
Right, again, there are checks and balances. When they go to our regional sending site, they've got their purple bag, but they also bring in the combination forms. They bring in the curbside forms. And so when they hand it in, there's someone that sits at the initial table, and they say, you know, how many voters did you have? They look through to make sure that if you tell them it's 10 voters, we have 10 signatures. They check that first. Then they go to another table, we have a little loop, and they hand over their purple bags. And now we have a team that's pulling that out. They're examining the tape to make sure that the tape has 10 votes on it. Then It goes to the next person with the jumpies that they put it in and send it down to us. Now, if those don't match, the judge stays there, and the judge has to tell us the possible reason that it doesn't match. And I mean, just today we took a call because somebody voted early and was so proud and put their ballot card on their refrigerator. And somebody came in and said, "Why is that there?" "What's my receipt?" "No, it's not." And they called and said, "Can I take it back?" Well, we can't do that because we wouldn't, once it's gone, it's gone.
But what you're talking about is the number of voters. To
Right.
clarify that the same number of voters are
Exactly.
verified by both. What I'm talking about is taking that ballot and compared to the actual votes that are in the machine. Does that ever happen? I'm talking about.
I'm lost, I'm sorry.
Let's say I voted at a site.
Yes.
Okay, and so you got a card in the box that says, that's J. Avalos, it doesn't say,
Doesn't say it's Jay's.
but it's mine.
Yes,
And then you have, my information also on the drive. Does anybody ever,
your information's not on that drive.
I know, but
Yeah.
my votes are.
Your votes are, yes,
So I'm
sir.
talking about, do you compare the two at any point?
Again, that's what we're doing. When I say combination forms and signatures, that goes into our system of voter registration, which is entirely separate from our votes. And so that's what we want to make sure that we have 10 people in here that have registered, 10 people here. When your card goes in, it randomizes because you heard me say we have to take a picture, an image of both sides of it. And this year, for the first election, the judges are to put an array of ballots out, and the voter will choose one and then hand it back, since we are now serializing these. So someone was trying to figure out how to follow and see who's, they wanted to write down their serial number. And it's like, I want to check, because we are required, and I don't know if any of you knew this, but we are required to put on our website how many people voted, all that good stuff that we've done every day. But after the election, we have to put the ballot images out there. So some people thought, okay, I'm going to write down my serial number, and then I'll sit at home and go through 600,000 ballots till I find my serial number. Well, they've taken that into account at the state. So now they've said, when we get all our ballot cards and all our images, we must redact that information. So we had to scurry, and my wonderful team figured out how to do it. It says they have to take up any stray marks, because we have some people who sign their card. And that's, again, no identifiable marks can be posted on a ballot on the website. And so they're gonna be, I keep seeing they're standing over there. They figured it out, and it's gonna be terrific. But again, there's just a miscommunication there, because since we had to put the serial numbers on them, again, our general public, our voters said, now I can see if mine's been counted. But with the new law, we're gonna redact it.
Hi, Jackie.
Hey,
Hi, what percentage of voters have already voted?
46.9. We didn't quite make 50%,
How
but
many,
we're hoping it's gonna climb.
how many mail ballots are still outstanding?
There's about 19,000 that are still out.
And they have to be postmarked by tomorrow to get in.
7 o'clock tomorrow, yes, sir. And yes, I mean, that's a misnomer, because remember, we always talk about our wonderful military USA. So the military ballots have 6 days. And so we will continue. Remember, we talked about provisional ballots. We had 169 provisional ballots cast during early voting. So that number will continue to add up. So the number is flexible. I don't want to say flexible, but free falling. So what you see when we post tomorrow night, come back a few days later, because the provisional ballots count. The people who show up at the polls and don't have their photo ID with them, they'll cast a provisional ballot. And then they have 6 days to come down here and show us their ID so that we can count that ballot. If they don't show up, we don't open the envelope. So For us, when the election's over, it's not over. We still have weeks of work to do.
So your office has until 5 o'clock Wednesday to receive the mail ballot, except for the military ones, right?
Correct.
So, it's just my own curiosity really, but have you ever gotten ballots on Thursday that?
Oh, tons,
Okay.
which we hate to say, and those people are disenfranchised, I'm sorry to say.
And even though even though they mailed it on election night before 7 o'clock, if it comes in on Thursday for whatever reason, through postal service, whatever, it's not counted then.
Correct. The law allows us to 5 o'clock on Wednesday.
But when we're looking
Yeah.
at totals, those military absentee ballots are counted with the mail ballots, that's all.
Yes, I
Same.
mean, we're
They're
doing
lumped
that now,
together.
the ones we have
Got it.
in. Like I said, all those good people standing right there are waiting for us to
I just meant
open it
that
up.
the
Yeah,
tabulation, the number is, that's what you call the
Yes.
absentee, it's
Yes.
both the mail and
the
military.
mail, yeah.
Got it.
So
Well, good.
Wednesday, 5 p.m. is the for here, and then for the army or military we have to wait 6 days.
6 days, yes, sir.
How many of
Sorry.
those are outstanding?
I wanna say there's like 1,500. That have-
Is that
that
part of
haven't
the
s-
19,000 or in addition?
No,
to?
that's, it's in addition.
Got it.
We run those in a separate bucket.
Got it.
Those are
That's
coming-
not the term, but it's a Jackie term.
Those are coming from Guam?
Hmm?
Those are coming from Guam?
You're so bad. So,
Okay, guys,
thank you,
thank
people,
you so
thank you.
much.
Help us out, remember, 7 to 7, help us out.
If you're coming tomorrow or member of your
And
staff
Jordan
is
and James
coming,
are there for you in
the
Spanish.
desk should have the
My Spanish
guide for
speakers are right there.
reporters,
Who will that be?
showing you how to
James
check
and
in
Jorge.
and hang out and
There's
whatever
Jorge, and
else.
there's
So
James,
if you
the
have
two
any
of them, right there.
questions, did you
Okay.
get one, Jay?
No.
I'll send it to you.
Hi, Guy, I might
Good
wait.
job. Way to go out.
Say a prayer. All I can say is say a prayer.